Hey, it's Aaron with ipXchange at Hardware Pioneers Max 2024. I'm here with Matthew from AntennaWare. Over there is an embedded award, so this has got to be something that's very interesting. So, Matthew, can you just first say what you do at AntennaWare and then say what AntennaWare does?
Okay, so my name is Matt Magill. I'm one of the co-founders of AntennaWare. So our background was we're a spin-out from the Queen's University of Belfast.
Okay.
So all our research was on wearable antennas, implantable antennas, electromagnetics and the body propagation, basically how the waves travel around and inside bodies. So anybody who's designed wearables will be very aware of the challenges. So, you get lower signal strength than you thought you would get, you get dropouts, reduced ranges, and because the antenna is the primary part of the system which interacts with the human body, it's all down to the antenna because it kind of senses the body, so to speak. We did a lot of research in that area, and then we developed a sort of core technology that we patented that can help get around some of these issues. And then we spun out from university 2020, and since then we've been releasing off-the-shelf antennas and also some custom ones. But basically, I don't know if you've ever done any wearable stuff, but there's sort of three main issues that you find with antennas and wearables. So one is when you move the antenna near the body, there's an area around the antenna called the near field that senses, interacts with the human body, and this can cause your antenna to detune. So it moves out the frequency band you're looking at. It also just absorbs energy because human tissues relatively high permittivity and conductivity. Your salt water.
Basically.
It soaks up energy, so your radiation efficiency is reduced, such as you're losing dBs there. But then also the main problem is body blocking. So this is because you're like an electrically large lossy structure. You block the signal, so that can create nulls in the pattern, the radiation pattern. So essentially, if you have something on your chest and trying to communicate with something behind your back, if you look at the kind of radiation pattern around your body, you see this sharp null. So think about if you have an audio system or a sports wearable and you're moving around, it's always that signal, that part that will cause the dropouts. So the applications we look at would be sort of healthcare, audio, industrial IoT, these kind of things. And it's whenever you're moving around, dynamic, environments, noisy environments, it's that kind of null that we try to improve upon, and that increases reliability and range and all these things.
Cool. So in terms of the hardware itself that you offer, what frequencies are you covering, and what form factors are we talking about for wearables?
So whenever we talk about the technology, it's a sort of pan to core technology. So with antennas you find, you make them bigger and smaller. Make them bigger to go down in frequency, make them smaller to go up. So we started off at 2.4 gigahertz because it's 2.4 gigahertz. Then DECT, 1.9 gigahertz, and then UWB. So UWB's been it's been around for a while, but we're sort of pushing it for data rather than localization. So that's 6.5 gigahertz, 8 gigahertz.
Cool.
So our business model kind of is we move where there's sort of a lot of excitement in the industry, and those seem to be three where we've had some good success. But if there's an appetite, we can move to any other frequency. It just depends on size and things.
Cool.
And then we can also move to more flexible form factors, more custom designs if there's a sort of a use case there for it.
Nice. And in terms of the UWB, what applications do you see that as being pushed into most?
I mean, UWB's been around for a while, and it's mostly was always for real-time localization systems because of the accuracy you can get compared to RSSI or angle of arrival and things like that. But what we're seeing with sort of the newer silicon, we're trying to push it to be not only for localization but also for data. So if you look at UWB, it has compared to Bluetooth, it's very high data rates, very low latency. And then if you're talking about security kind of applications as well, it's very hard to detect because of the spectrum nature of it.
Oh, nice.
So we're pushing it for sort of more data applications, so audio, is the obvious one. Lossless audio with very low latency. That's an attractive concept, and then also people are looking at VR and things like that there for the data side of UWB communications.
Nice. And I can see there's some demos over here. So are these evaluation boards your technology, or that use your technology?
So these are a couple boards that we've worked with people. We do have evaluation boards. I mean, if you're going to evaluate an antenna, you kind of want to do your own measurements.
Yeah.
So we just have, antennas on evaluation boards. with SMA connectors. That's one way to do it. If you want to go in your anechoic chambers and things, you can see properly the radiation pattern and things. But probably the best way, to be honest, is to put it in the product. Because whenever you look at like wearables, you usually have quite small products.
Yeah.
So what you find is that when you change the ground plane, the shape of the ground plane, put devices on it, put an enclosure around the antenna, put it on the body, all these things affect the wireless performance. So the best test you can really do is just integrate a sample or something straight onto, a form factor representative prototype or something like that, and then do A/B comparisons. That's normally how we work.
Cool. And in terms of just how the technology works, and what is it that helps to prevent those nulls?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So there's the 3 points were detuning, radiation efficiency, and then so our antennas, we try not to use the ground plane to radiate as much as possible. You find chip antennas, PIF antennas, it's like the edge of the PCB axis that does the bulk of the radiation. Yeah. So we try to, we put ground plane below the antenna. We create a certain type of radiation that means that we're not coupling into the body. So we don't want to go through the body. Some people think that, and it's just like, oh, it's mumbo jumbo, but it's basically, we want to go around the body. So we put the ground plane behind the antenna, and that shields it from the effects of the body. So it increases your radiation efficiency and decreases the detuning effect. And then the part that goes around the body, the sort of our main sort of feature, is this phenomenon where if you have like a certain radiation pattern with a certain polarization, and you kind of try to send the propagation in this direction and the correct polarization, it essentially sort of clings to the surface of the body and can follow this curvature around.
Cool.
So I mean, there's twofold benefits in that you can have a device on the chest and the back. You'd be surprised if you're out in a field or something, you would have you'd basically lose like your whole link budget sometimes in low multipath environments. So that application could be quite good, but then it also works in the far field as well to reduce these nulls. So it's the way we launch the wave, and it just clings to the surface of the body, and you can actually see, we got simulations and things if you're really interested. You can see how the E field propagates around the torso and things like that.
I guess for engineers themselves, because you've I guess pre-done the simulations and you are specializing in wearables, do they need to worry about the simulation side, or is it quite?
It depends on the complexity of the product. I mean, if it's something simple, we've kind of done a lot of the background work where we know if you have a PCB and it's fed like this and it's this shape, we pretty much know the response. But if you have like a very complicated product, lots of different PCBs, strange enclosure, strange materials, maybe it's put on an awkward like round the neck or something on the body, we'd always recommend doing simulations, because you can just you can build the prototypes and then wonder why isn't this working, and then look at the simulations and be like, oh, that's why. Or you can do the simulations first and then create the prototype. It depends how people work. Some people like measurement based rather than simulation based. I would normally go with simulations first and then do measurements, but if you want to avoid issues with a complex project, running simulations is usually a good first step.
Cool. Well, that was AntennaWare. Clearly, if you're working in the wearables market and you're needing to get your signals from the front of you to the back of you without going through you, AntennaWare are a very, very good company to talk to. I'll do a thorough write-up as I usually do for ipXchange, but yeah, it's been really good to talk to you, Matt. Thank you for that really thorough explanation, and another company to add to your list of wearables for your bomb.
Hey, where my engineers at?